All right, shall we now finalize with the sources of finance? And to start with, we have got main sources of finances that fall under long term, and they include share capital, preference shares, other types of long term capital, such as the convertibles, the warranties, the options, the debentures, and secure loan stock, and the Eurobond. So we'll discuss them in detail. These are the main sources of long-term finance, okay? So let's start with the share capital. So with the share capital, this one, how it works, you buy shares in a company. When you buy shares, ordinary shares to be specific, you become part of the owners of the company. I think this is a conversation we have been repeating, the issue of buying shares. So when you buy shares, you buy equity, you are part of the owners of that company, then you shall share both in the profit and the losses that they make. Agreeing that you are part of the owners of the company simply means that when the company makes losses, you will have to understand and accept. When the company makes profit, you will have to accept that they have made profit. Then the directors will decide whether to give or to issue dividends, right? To share that dividends with the shareholders or not to do that. So you have to accept all that. That is what it means. Yeah. So the way how this source of finance is used, when the company observes that they do not have enough finance, they issue shares. When they issue shares, people who have money, they will come from wherever they are, and then they will buy shares in that particular company. And then that company would have gained the capital, okay? That is how that company gains capital. When people gain what? When people buy shares, right? So ordinary shareholders or equity shareholders are the owners of the company, okay? They are authorized. It's basically an authorized share capital, okay? Then the shares are issued. There are some advantages that are involved with that. It is that they have the voting rights, okay? They have the voting rights, reduced dividend, they appoint directors, they have power to appoint directors. As you cannot, most of the times the shareholders themselves don't run the company, but they hire some expertise, some trained individuals to run the company. So you just invest your money and sit. But at the same time, you can also be sitting and make votes whenever the AGMs are called. They have the right to share of residual profits of the company. As the shareholders, you have power to gain, to share the profit. Okay, there is that profit that is shared at the end of the period, and usually it is shared in form of dividends. Then that shared profit, you enjoy it as a shareholder. The good part is that there is no limit, okay, on the size of the profit that you get. It just depends on how much the company has made, okay? It depends on how much company has made. And again, the shareholders are only liable up to the amount remaining and paid on the shares. So which simply means that if you invested some money in a company, and even if this company has made maybe losses, they cannot really come to the personal assets of the shareholders. Instead, there is that separation between our own assets, our own capital, like our own money, our own assets, and the assets that we have invested in the company, that is via money, okay, by buying shares. So usually there is that separation. The problem is that of being a shareholder, or the disadvantage, is that you receive the net of tax dividends at the discretion of directors from profits of the business. So usually it is net of tax. The dividends are net of tax. The ordinary shares are usually the lowest rank of finance that is issued by the company. They are always of the lowest ranking. And the ordinary shares are usually they're almost irredeemable. And when there is a bad time when you don't make profit as a company, then you don't receive anything as a shareholder. You don't receive the dividends. You can only receive the dividends when there is what? When you have made profit. The ordinary shares are marketable. The preference shares. The preference shareholders have a preferential right to either the dividends or returns of capital, both compared to ordinary shares. So now the only difference between the ordinary shareholders and the preferential shareholders is that, just as the name itself may suggest, the preferential shareholders, they are preferred over the ordinary ones. Okay? With these ones, what happens is that you ordinary shareholders, you cannot get dividends before these guys are cleared. So they have to be the first ones, okay? They have to be the first one. You will receive at the end when these guys have been satisfied. They are the preferred shareholders, okay? The characteristics of these shares is that they are more like unsecured loan stock than ordinary shares. So they offer a fixed stream of investment income. It is usually fixed. So with these ones, they pay fixed dividends. That's to say, you cannot get more or less. When the company, even if the company makes more profit, what you will get is fixed. That is with the preferential shareholders. Again, even if the company has not paid a lot of money, what you get is fixed. But the ordinary guys, when the company has made a lot of money, that time they can even receive more dividends as compared to the preference shareholders. Are there any advantages of the preference shareholders? Are there any advantages? Maybe to start with, you are always preferred over the ordinary guys, but there is a risk, okay, of the preferential shareholders. The preference shares, the risk is of not getting the dividends, okay? The risk of not getting the dividends is greater than the loan capital, but it is usually less than for the ordinary shares guys. The ordinary shares, when the preference shareholders have not been given, it means that the ordinary shares guys cannot get paid before the preferential shareholders. So there is that, yeah. So basically, that's what is there under the preference shares and the what's this? The ordinary. They're just minor differences between them. Okay, the debentures. What about the debentures? So the debentures are loans which are secured on some or all on some or all of the assets of the company. They are loans. So the debentures are basically loans. Okay, they are secured on some or all assets of the company. Usually they are regulated by what is known as a trustee deed, which is usually overseen by the trustee. So the debentures may be secured by a fixed charge on a specified debt asset, or a floating charge. Now, when we say a floating charge, we mean the one that is able to change. There is that charge that is dependent, it is subjective on the occurrences. So if things have gone as designed, then you will receive. That's the floating charge. But for the fixed one, it is just fixed, yeah, regardless of what usually happens. So I've talked about the ordinary shares, the preference shares, and the debentures. Now let's talk about the unsecured loan stock. So with an unsecured loan stock, there is no specific security for loan, and they are subordinated debts. This is they are unsecured. When you unsecured, we mean it's collateral free, right? It is collateral free loan stock. And there is no specific security for that loan. They are subordinated debt. Now, what is meant by a subordinated? Subordinated debt is actually a junior debt and is paid after all senior debt holders are paid, right? These are only when senior debt holders are paid. But this one, in short, you are the last ones to be paid. Like, it's a debt that is looked at after all these other important and senior debt holders have been cleared. That's when this debt is done, what is cleared. So as a business, they use this as a source of finance as well. Okay, they get the unsecured loan stock. Usually, they can easily get the secured loan stock. Now, the secured loan stock, it gives the holders the right to put it into ordinary shares, of course, after some time. That is the sweetener. The idea is that people should not give their money, so they should be enticed. They should be told that these monies you have given us, they can be converted into ordinary shares so that you can become shareholders after some time. And people all do that. Then the Eurobond, which is the last one, the last source of finance, long-term source. I'm sure you've heard of the Eurobond many times. Anybody to share insights on the Eurobond? You heard that Zambia defaulted on the Eurobond. What comes in your mind when you hear the Eurobond? Anyone to give a practical Zambian example? A practical Zambian example. What do you understand? Using your own words. Okay. So, so the Eurobond actually is a bond that is usually issued outside, it is issued outside the country of issue. And with the Eurobond, the way how it works is that you can issue this bond, and as you issue this bond, then people who come to buy that bond, who get that bond. Okay, that is called the bond. Okay, it is usually, most of the times, this one goes with countries, usually very giant countries. Even the countries do the Eurobond. You issue the bond, okay, and it is issued outside the country of issue. That is to say, when you issue the bond like this one, you may not really use your own currency. For example, you may not use your own currency, like yourself with you are using. You can the bond in the currency that is outside your own currency, okay, and people can come buy that bond. Even people who come from outside the country, not just local. Usually, that is what is there.